Right. Fast forward and stop work, great. Yay! Well, it's working. Right, I'll have to find some pause works. I'll have to find some non-YouTube music. Oh, we'll turn it off and it does it. Oh, maybe you have to press the... Oh, no. So why didn't it work? Oh, that can't be right. Oh dear, something's still not right. Press stop and it doesn't. Press stop and it doesn't release the cassette. Always something. Always bloody something. If I turn it off, it releases it. It's obviously not going to the stop position. Yeah, see, yeah, when it's powered, it's not powered, it's not doing it. Or is it? Yeah, it's going to stop. So why is it when you power it, it does that? Why does it lift up? Oh dear. Well, what's going on here, Chris? Oh, still recording. Oh, most of that you can forget. Okay, well, it's actually playing now. But unfortunately, there's a little hiccup, and that is I can't eject the tape unless I switch the whole thing off, which is of course weird. So I don't know what I've done. I've done something silly. So it's getting late, so I think I might leave it now until tomorrow. Yes, well, I've had a good sleep and I'm now back to it. The problem is that when the power's on and you press stop, you cannot eject the tape. So I think I've done something wrong when I've reassembled the mechanism. So I need to, unfortunately, pull it out and try and figure out what I've done wrong. If you turn off the power, it now allows it to eject. So it's a bit weird. It's the mechanism that brings up the heads. It has a couple of positions, and with power on it actually raises slightly, which means that you can't eject the tapes. But with the power off, it drops back down completely and you can eject the tape. It's probably a bit hard to see there, but that's the case. So here we go. Have to pull it out again and try and figure out what I did wrong. Okay, get back. Well, I thought before I took it out I would check the play and stop positions on the cam, and it's just so irregular. They were interactive, but even so I just can't get it to reliably stop in the stop position when you press stop, or play when you have play going. Fortunately it will play without a tape, which is nice, because then I can see through to the pointer, but it's not working right. I can only think that somehow or other I've got some of the cams or levers misaligned, so unfortunately I think I will have to pull it out and go over it all again and see what I may have done wrong. Righto. I'll have it out again, but it seems that the cam doesn't work when you have the power connected but not the stop-start switches. And the trouble with the stop-start switches is that it's a loom about that long. They couldn't have made it any shorter if they tried. So I can't even mount the front panel around here or up here, or there's only one place for it, and that's here, which is where you want to bring this out on. So it's next to impossible. The only way is to disassemble the whole front panel again, so I can get to the on-off switches and mount it, say here somewhere in mid-air close to the connectors on the board. There's two of them. Or make up a loom for lengthening them, or chop them and make a really long loom anyway. So I'm not sure which I'll do. So I think in the meantime I will just have a really close look at this and see what I can find, even if it doesn't move at all. Maybe I can see where I've mounted something back incorrectly. So we'll give that a go. Well, I'm finding it really difficult. This doesn't seem to want to work properly without the stop play buttons, etc. Connected on this connector here and this connector here. These two here are for the motors, etc. here. This little shielded cable goes to the potentiometer that tells you whereabouts on the cam you are. Now this brown and red one is for the azimuth motor, and that plugs in over there somewhere, but we don't need that at the moment, the same as we don't need the signals at the moment. But unfortunately I need those stop play buttons to be operative. As I said, the choice is to create a new loom to put in between, and that means getting the connectors, and unfortunately we're in lockdown at the moment, so I can't get the connectors without waiting for a week or two. And the other thing is, and also they may not be the right size, I need to go and actually try them to make sure they fit. So the next alternative is to extend the looms with new wire and heat shrink, and I think that's what I'll do. It's only switches, so should be no reason why a bit of extra length will compromise anything. So that's what I'll do. I'll get back to you. So I guess the question is, how much longer do they need to be? Fortunately, they're all coloured in the normal IEC colour code, so that makes life a little bit easier. So there's very little risk of me getting the colours wrong, or getting it wrong. I've had this for a while. This is pretty close to 24 gauge, which is 7 strands of 0.2 millimeter. and that's very similar to what's there. Fine. Alright, I'll do that. I've extended the two looms for the start, stop, play buttons. It's almost too long. I may chop it back down when everything's finished, but I had to be able to do this to figure out what was going wrong with the mechanism. Anyway, in the stop position it still won't eject, so yes, I've still got a problem. But what I was doing, seemed to be getting worse and worse. It was just behaving not only erratically, but doing all the wrong things. The play, stop, start buttons, which are here separately, so I can get to them. But the problem was it wasn't erratic. Anyway, all of a sudden I bumped this against the chassis, and it worked. The cam drive, which is this little motor down here, wasn't working at all, and I just threw my hands up in the air and went, oh, what? But anyway, it turns out I've just discovered that it needs an earth, a grounding, and so as soon as I put a ground wire to the metalwork here, the cam motor works fine. So so I guess when it's in situ, it gets its power from, well, I'm not sure where. To be honest, I'm going to have to investigate that, because they're all plastic mounts. Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to find out how that's meant to be grounded. But anyway, it now works. But as I say, it's still got this problem with I can't eject when it's in stop mode, and it's purely because the cam is in the wrong position. If we look here carefully, we turn it off, you can see it just slightly go down. That's this way. Put the power on and it just goes up a little bit. Not that time. Oh yes, it does. It only goes up a few millimeters, but it's enough. When the power's on, turn the power off and okay, still not quite right. Yeah, so something to do with the setup of the cam positioning. So I'm going to go through all the voltages for that and see what's going on. I've only adjusted the play and the stop cam position. That's all I've done. So I don't believe I've done anything silly, but I'll persevere, find out why these aren't behaving how they should. The controls work, but it's never consistent. It never always goes back to the S stop for stop or the PY position for play. It just moves around, and I don't know why. So it's going to take a little bit of investigation, unfortunately. But at least I'm halfway back to not pulling my hair out. So fast forward, rewind, stop, play. So it's sort of working now, which is good. But going to stop, I can't eject the tape, which is not right. Alright, I shall continue on. It's getting late. I might actually, now that I've got back to, as I say, one step forward, two steps back, well, at least I'm now back to the one step forward, and I can now move on and try and find out and fault find why the positioning isn't working properly. But grounding, what were they thinking? There should always be a ground wire somewhere, unless it's broken or something like that, but I shall find out. I'll let you know. Bye. To demonstrate the problem which has been cursing me, and I didn't realise it until, well, till now, is when you have the mechanism out, it wasn't always working. I'll demonstrate. Tape is going fast forward. Stop. Fast forward, rewind, rewind, stop. So when it's relying upon the spool motor, yeah, good. So now we press play, nothing happens. Nothing happens. And that's because the cam motor driving the big cog wheel isn't working. There's no voltage on that motor. So you think, oh God, what could it be? And anyway, it's still in play. The play light is on. We connect a ground wire to it. Right, here it is. Now watch this. Now it plays. What did I do? I grounded one of the plates on the mechanism so that the cam motor could work, and now it's playing. Press stop, it doesn't work. Ground the wire, and it stops. So basically there wasn't a ground return, so the damn thing didn't want to work, except for rewind and fast forward, and that had me going for quite a while. So the question is, how does it get its return current? Now, each of the 4 mounts are plastic, so it can't be that. So as far as I can tell, the only return earth is through the various connectors. Well, I don't believe it. No wonder it couldn't get it to set right. The potentiometer for the play and the potentiometer for the stop position, they're mislabeled. They're back to front. You have to do the play pot to do the stop and the stop pot to do the play. They're back to front. Oh, because I've tried their way and I could never do it. I will try again just to be absolutely certain, but it looks to me like it's not doing a damn thing. Alright, we'll press play and stop. Yeah, using their way, it there's no way. It just keeps going more and more away from what it should be. Unbelievable. Oh, dearie me. Stop, so we do play. Play. Yeah, okay. Understandable. I've created a couple of marks to make it a little bit easier for me to see where they are. Stop. There's quite a bit of toing and froing, but that's all right. Stop. It does take a while to get them both right. Just about there. They're interactive, so now what you need to see is down in there and there. Now the marks are genuinely in here behind the cassette, unfortunately, but I've put a couple of marks on the cam that I can see through these two windows, so when that mark there joins that mark there, which is the R, that's actually the play position, PY, which is shown over there. And in here I put a mark on the cam when that's opposite, when over here it's in the S position, so S for stop. So hopefully you can see in there at the moment, right in there, the R is against my little mark here, and that's the play. Now if I press stop, hopefully you can see that in here my mark that I've drawn on the cam is against the S for stop, and that means that over here is the S mark. Now that we're here, I'll try and show you. It's actually in there. There's a little pointer, and that's what actually points to the S. Yeah, it's just slightly off, but it's pretty close. It's about 1/2 off. Don't think this camera focuses well enough to be able to see in there. And when you press play, in there, the little pointer should point to the little mark for PY, but of course it's really hard to see. There's a spring in the way and etc. So that's why I've made the mark over here, and it sort of lines up with a mark I've made there. So yeah, that's good. Now it's working. Yeah, the stop and play potentiometers on the motherboard are back to front. You just cannot get them to be right using them the way they say. Oh dear. So be it. Well, lessons learned the hard way. Well, believe it or not, I think the mechanism is now working quite well. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, so I will now start putting it back in and thinking about fault finding, anything else that's going wrong, as I believe the right hand channel isn't working, so I need to find out why. Right, I'll put this back in. Actually, before I move on, there's one measurement to make. That's the voltage across the reel motor. in play mode to be 4 volts. So 3.9, okay, there we go. 3.9. So give it a small tweak to make it 4.04. That's as close as I can get. It's a very coarse potentiometer. Right, okay, so now I'll get back to inserting it back in. The other controls are for RAM slow speed, RAM Q, and phase. I'm not sure what that means. But I won't even think of adjusting those until much later on, just in case. Don't go altering things when there's no need to. Well, I put the mechanism back in, and for the life of me now play and stop work. So the question is, where is it getting its grounding through? It's really a bit of a mystery. I'll take out that, which is the azimuth motor. No, it's not that. I'd love to know where it's getting its grounding from. I think I need to find out. I've discovered where it's getting its grounding from. Hopefully you can see down in here. There's this front metal plate, middle metal plate and a back one. Anyway, where the mounting screw comes in, it touches on that metal plate in the middle of this plastic doohickey. And it's only in the one spot, the others don't do it. Now, well, I guess that might be enough. I am now knowing what that is, I'm going to put in an extra grounding cable with eyes on either end and screw one end to the chassis and one end to this, probably to the middle plate, which is where the cam motor is. So, but I don't have to do that right now. I'll show you what I mean when I screw the screw back in. Have a listen to the meter. So now it's making contact, but if I left that screw out, then this machine wouldn't work. So I'll put this other one in. Put them all back in except for this one that is grounding it. So we have 3 in. Now I'll take this one out. Oh, there you go. So this machine now doesn't work purely because one screw isn't grounding properly. That's pathetic. Oh dear. They should have done better than that. They should have been better. Oh well, that's how it is. We'll have to live with it. I'll fix that up at a future date, put on a new earthing wire.